Hello, everyone. Shauna Robinson, Wellness A to Z, and I am so excited about my guest today, Sandy Abrams, who is a longtime entrepreneur and now focused on wellness in the entrepreneurial space. She is amazing in the business space. Sorry. I mean, you do, work with entrepreneurs. I'm getting that wrong, but I mean, you and I connected right away, especially over the business thing. We had so much to talk about and always have so much to talk about. So I'm so excited to talk to you today and learn more about your story and what you're doing now. I mean, I see Breathe to Succeed, which I can't wait to talk about. That's your latest book that's out, all about breath work. And it's really, again, I mean, it goes with my thing with Microdose Your Wellness. For people in the business world, we don't have a lot of time. We're running around all the time. So we'll get to that. She is an absolutely amazing person. I love, if you guys don't follow her on Instagram, absolutely follow her. She is incredible. So without further ado, Sandy, thank you so much for being here. I would love to hear a little bit more about your story. I mean, you didn't start in the wellness space. I mean, you kind of fell backwards into the entrepreneurial world, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure. Thank you so much for the kind words. And it's a pleasure to be on Microdose because I love all of this content that you provide. So it's an honor to be here and to share the power of breath with this community. My backstory goes way back to 1989 when I was a real estate agent actually at that time. And I had a client who was mom of a teenage girl, and we were in a pretty stressful transaction together, and I was a new real estate agent. And this woman had this calm sense about her. And whenever we needed to make a stressful decision, she would say to me, I'll get back to you in 20 minutes or an hour. And she would always come back to me with this like centered, grounded, focused, mindful answer. And one day, several weeks later, I said to her, I want what you've got. How do you have this amazing focus and energy and calm during all of this stress? She was making some really big decisions for her and her family, real estate wise. And she said, oh, it's yoga. Whenever I say that to you, I go do yoga. I think about everything. I clear my head. I come back. I signed up for yoga the next day. We lived in the same neighborhood. I could walk to the yoga studio and I never looked back. And that was 1989. And I went every day of the week, once, sometimes twice a day. And I loved the rigorous flow classes at the time. I was not interested in the breath. It seemed, I just wasn't wired for that. I do talk about that in my book just a little bit, how I became known as the girl who left yoga class right before Shavasana, because I know for those people who don't practice yoga, Shavasana is the last practice of the class where you just lie still. And that made me anxious. Eventually my teachers would ask me why I'm leaving. And I explained that I wasn't wired to sit still. And they asked me to just try it. And it was shortly after that that I had that aha moment where I closed my eyes and I took 3 deep breaths. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt that grounded, centered energy. And it was like, and it made me really curious. How could I take those 3 deep breaths off the mat and into my business life? A few years later, I launched my own business in the beauty and spa industry, a silly moisturizing glove that all of a sudden, we sold in Bed Bath & Beyond and H2O Plus and Bath & Body Works, and became a really big business quickly. And breath was how I learned to tap into my confidence that I didn't have at the time because I knew nothing about business. I have a broadcasting and journalism degree. And so that was the beginning. 30 years ago was the beginning of me utilizing the power of breath and mindset, and then taking that as a sort of bridge into action that was strategic and mindful and helped me to reach goals. And I paired the power of my breath with things that I was reading at the time, like Tony Robbins and mindset stuff. And when you pair those 2 things together, it's exponentially as powerful as you know. And all of a sudden things start to align. Your mind and body are aligning. You start to reach your goals easier. You're more productive. You're more creative. And in today's environment, what this helps with to tap into the power of your breath makes you more calm, more grounded, more focused. And it also helps to boost your immunity, lower your blood pressure, lower those stress hormones, and tap into that parasympathetic nervous system where you're more grounded and centered. And so it's a really important time for people to tap into the power of their breath and to know that you can do it in small moments throughout the day. This is not meditation where you need to sit still for 20 minutes twice a day. There's no right or wrong way to do breath. It's just interrupting the shallow breath for mindful, deep breaths. That was a long introduction.
No, it's perfect. And I can listen to you talk about it forever. I mean, I love people's stories. I mean, I have a degree in history and I can read autobiographies all day long. So, I mean, I love it. And, it's so clear. You did have these sort of like peaks and valleys and all these twists and turns, but throughout it all, there was this, constant of the breath. And I love that, the 3 deep breaths, that's really, one of your signatures, which we, we'll talk about later. But, I would love to hear a little bit more about, you had these moisturizing gloves, which are amazing, moisture jams, which I was like, oh my God, I remember those. When I learned that was you, I was like, I totally remember seeing those in Bed Bath & Beyond, thinking like, yes, I'm into that. Like, we have to moisturize our hands. I would love to hear like, you had that business and then, you have this foundation of breath and breath work and, utilizing sort of a microdosed approach to meditation. Essentially, it isn't about, you don't need to sit there for 20 minutes, which, I love to do, but, sometimes you can't, and especially, in a business setting, I worked in the corporate space. So how did you pivot? How did you kind of like that aha moment of like, I'm going to go talk to people in the corporate space about like microdosing their meditation or microdosing their breath work so that, they're not stressed the F out all day long.
Right. Yeah. So as I built my business, Moisture Jams, in the beginning, I'd say about 10 years in, I had so many people saying to me, well, like, I have a great idea for a product too. How did you turn it into a business? So I wrote my first book. I actually just started writing little outlines and giving them to people. Here are 10 things you can do to turn that product idea into a business. And people would say, I really liked it, and they were using it. And I saw people make these changes in their lives and launch a product idea. And so I wrote a book called Your Idea Inc., published in 2010. And that led me to writing small business and entrepreneurial sort of like insightful articles for brands like Capital One, LegalZoom. I worked with some corporate brands, Sage Software, and it was at speaking for those corporations, especially at Sage Summit around 2015, 2016. I was talking mostly about entrepreneurial matters, but I spoke out of 1 hour, I spoke like 5 to 10 minutes about the power of breath and mindset. And after that talk, that was all anybody wanted to ask questions about, was that the power of breath and mindset. And I sort of realized, wow, the timing right now, because we had all been, if you think about it, it was 2015, 2016. We've been connected to technology and social media for a good amount of years. There was this new sort of an SOS in the business sector. People were constantly connected. They were starting to burn out. There was no 9 to 5 anymore. And so I realized, you know what, I've been doing this breath and mindfulness practice for so long. I think it's really, I have something to share with the business sector. And that's what led me to I reached out to my literary agent. I said, I have this idea. And she said, you know what, the timing is right. And so I wrote the book.
It's brilliant. And as somebody who, I call myself a corporate survivor, and I too work with, I take my experience and work with people in the corporate sector. I burnt out. There are so many people that burn out, and just, it's sort of, they don't necessarily recognize it. But once you start to talk about, breath work or yoga, or even just, different style of eating, they kind of turn on a little bit. And it's like, oh, wait, tell me a little bit more. So I love that, it was this like big aha moment for you. Like, and there's so many people. And right now, we're in the middle of this like wacky ass pandemic, which, we didn't necessarily see coming. Kind of, we were all like, yeah, 2020, and 2020 has been a bit interesting for a lot of people, for everyone, I think now is a really good time to start building that. If you don't already do any meditation, breath work, mindfulness, anything like that, now is such a good time to start. How are you staying healthy? How are you, incorporating the breath work? What are you doing in this wacky time to, maintain a sense of calm and ease?
I'm really sticking to the tools that I've used forever, which is the breath work, keeping my mind optimistic and positive, limiting my exposure to the news because I am a news junkie, but I realized that immediately, like 3 minutes after turning on the news, my blood pressure starts to rise, my heart rate begins to race. And so I realized, there's not too much we can control these days, but we can control the way that we breathe, the way that we think. And so it's small practices throughout the day of being self-aware of what you are thinking, how you're feeling, and then going inward and changing it when you're not happy with how you're feeling. And just 3 deep breaths for those people watching this who don't breathe or meditate and always say like, it's not for me. Just know that 3 deep breaths is enough to transform your energy. It literally is science. It works. It's been around for thousands of years. And the 3 deep breaths was all I used for many years before I started to develop a practice using other breath tools like alternate nostril breathing or bumblebee breath or ujjayi breath. But all I started with for many years was closing my eyes. In fact, let's do that now. I'll just share how you can actually transform your mood and mindset with 3 deep breaths. So close your eyes and also notice that most of us rarely close our eyes during the day, but it's a great way to immediately set that boundary from external to internal. And now through your nose, take a long, slow, deep inhale. And on the exhale through your nose or mouth, let everything go. Through your nose, take a long, slow, deep inhale. All the way to the top. Fill it up. And exhale, let stagnant energy, let negative energy, let everything go. And the third one is a charm. Inhale. And exhale. And then just sit with your palms face down on your thighs and notice the difference that that makes. Breath transforms your energy simply by interrupting that shallow breath with deep mindful breath. And the reason that we take those long inhales through our nose is that when you inhale through your nose, you connect to the part of your brain that regulates emotion. So it's like having the key to your mindset right there where you can say, I want to feel calm. I want to feel confident. I want to feel empowered. And that's what you tell your body. I am calm. I am confident. I am grounded. And you breathe into that for 3 deep breaths and you actually change the chemistry in your body. And then your body begins to crave those little mini 3 deep breath sessions. And before you know it, becomes second nature. And you just do it throughout the day without having to reserve a chunk of time for meditation.
Yeah. I mean, we all just saw it didn't take very long. And I mean, I know it felt great. It's like little love notes for your body. It's like, oh, right. Oh, this feels so good. When people say I'm anxious or I can't sit still, it's like, you're choosing that, right? Like, and you said this, you can choose to be calm and, approach your life with ease and just compassion and all of those things. And 3 deep breaths is really all it takes. I think that's great. And I think that is something it's super attainable. You can do that now. You can be doing that while you're watching, TV, you're binge watching. Maybe it's Tiger King. I don't know. I finished that. Love it. But, whatever you're choosing to do. What are some other things that you're doing? I mean, obviously the breathing, how, like, eating. I know you have your ritual in the morning, which I love. I live for your content. I'm like, yes, Sandy's doing her morning
Thank you.
ritual.
And likewise, I love your content. And another thing I do is keep in my Instagram stream people like you who inspire me to be my best every day. And, it's a roller coaster ride. And so when I need inspiration, I'll call a friend. I'll look on my Instagram and look at my wellness resources. And I love cooking nourishing foods and beverages and eating really healthy right now. I also do love indulging in some comfort food every now and then. It's comforting. I also live for my daily walks. We live by the beach, and while the beach is actually closed right now, we can get pretty close and breathe in the ocean air. And they say that LA air right now is the cleanest that it's been in decades because nobody's driving to work. And so nature, I just find such joy in looking at the flowers, looking at the beach, breathing in the ocean, and just trying to really be mindful and self-aware about self-care and being kind to myself so that I can then be kind to my husband and my boys, that we all live together. And so, yeah, I think it's just being mindful that I take time for myself to, to go inward and check in with myself and decide how I want to feel and then breathe into that. And I do it throughout the day.
I love that. I mean, the deciding, the choosing how you want to feel, you are empowered to do that. You don't have to feel like crap. And a lot of people say, I'm anxious. No, you have anxiety. Anxiety doesn't have you, right? Like, you are in the driver's seat to be able to make that choice. Like, I want to be calm. I am calm. Calm doesn't have me. So, like, you get to be those things. You get to choose that. I love that. So what are a few things other than, like, in addition to the 3D breaths, which I love, and I employ that too. If I don't get a, nice long meditation or a yoga practice in during the day, what are some other things that you would impart your wisdom to tell people that, this is what you can also be doing to #CTFD?
Why don't we do 3 lion's breath? In addition, here, I'm going to stand up for a second.
I will lion's breath all day long.
Okay, I'm going to adjust my seating here. So along with 3 deep breaths, lion's breaths are an incredible tool that immediately releases stress or anxiety or fear or stagnant energy. This is a tool that I use every morning when I wake up first thing. It's also great if people are quarantined at home with children or teenagers. Lion's breath is a great way for them to understand how they can help control the way they think and feel, and how when they're feeling anxious or nervous or scared or uncertain or frustrated with school, online schooling and all of that, they can do 3 deep lion's breath and it immediately transforms energy. So I'll walk everybody through 3 rounds of it, but first I'll show you what it looks like. It looks like this. You start with your eyes closed again, and then you take a long, slow, deep inhale through your nose. And on the exhale, it's like that. And it almost immediately makes everyone laugh because you feel funny or silly doing it. You bulge open your eyes, you stick out your tongue. They call it lion's breath because it makes you feel fierce like a lion. So we'll do 2 more together. And if, just a little side note, if it makes anybody feel lightheaded, it's just because you're not used to taking full deep breaths. So after the first one, just sit with your hands palm down on your thighs and just close your eyes and breathe normally. You don't have to do both rounds. So close your eyes and get your posture ready to take in some air. So maybe do a shoulder roll or 2. And then through your nose, take a long, slow, deep inhale and exhale. I love watching you do it. Yep. And 1 more. Long, slow, deep inhale and exhale. You can even shake out your hands, move your body, like let everything go. And the fun thing to share with the kids is that they can customize it. They can make it their own. They can, we hold a lot of stress, as you can explain to people, in our hands. And so shaking that out or putting your body into that lion's breath exhale just is a really great release that really transforms your energy immediately. So for people who never breathe or meditate or anything, those 2 tools, 3 deep breaths and 3 lion's breaths, are really game changing. That's all you need to be able to take back control of your thoughts and your energy.
I mean, I feel amazing right now. I'm uplifted. This conversation, the breathing, it's amazing. Sandy, where can people find you and where can they buy your book?
Thank you so much. So, You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sandy Abrams. And my book, Breathe to Succeed, is available on Amazon or independent bookstores everywhere. And my website is called theCEOM.com. So it's THECEOM.com. And CEO to me means mindful leadership. And right now we are all by default, right, the CEOs of our household. And so it's all about taking charge mindfully and learning how to build your own ecosystem within your own household right now that enables everybody, you and everybody at home, to thrive right now. I think that's really important. And I hope that everyone listening will tap into the power of their breath in just small moments throughout the day to help stay uplifted and stay well. And thank you again for having me. It's really an honor. I so appreciate all of your information all of the time. So
well, I appreciate your time and your words of wisdom. This was wonderful. I will include all of where you can find Sandy on Instagram and Twitter and ceom.com, and where you can buy her book all in the comments. If you have any comments, leave them below. We will answer for sure. Thank you again, Sandy, and everybody stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.